Hello, everybody. How are you? Thank you for clicking on. Uh, a couple of technical difficulties starting off tonight, but we are past that. Um, we're monitoring the lighting of the tree in Rockefeller. It's on NBC, and we are monitoring it both on NBC and at a distance, as you can see a large presence of NPD, and we will be monitoring as the night goes along. The tree lighting is supposed to take place at coming up here in an hour and 12 minutes. TikTok, found on the X um, platform formerly known as Twitter, and this just gives us an example of what some of the younger generations might be thinking.
They give us, vote for one of two people that they tell us to, and watch the movies that they show. They take our attention as soon as we reach age 5 or give it back. We go to school for 8 hours a day if they want us to. They scold us until we obey, and then they praise us when they make us form a habit of waking up and spending our entire day in a building that we wouldn't choose, so that when we get older, we are willing to do the same. Following orders becomes comfortable when we spend our childhood doing what we're told. So when we're older, we hesitate to stray outside the norm. They tell us that we should do anything we can to attend a university, as if we don't, we will fail. They manipulate us into financial dependency at a young age so that we stay liable to the system. They've given us a currency that only has value because they say it does, and we receive it by working at a business that they own. Their millions become billions while the rest of us are forced to sacrifice our time for a minuscule fraction of what our work gains for them. They provide us housing, but make it costly so that we struggle to accumulate enough wealth to escape their system. Our supermarkets are full of brands that they possess, to the point that it is difficult to find ones that they don't. Our meals are either purchased from a store that they most likely own, or created with ingredients from their brands. They tamper with the food they give us and pump them toxic and addictive chemicals. They make the most harmful foods the cheapest and most convenient, so that it becomes an offer that we can't refuse. Over time, we become addicted in many more ways than one, and they bombard us with temptation on every billboard or commercial. When we get sick from excessive consumption of this insubstantial food, we are forced with almost no other option but to give up financial solidity for the sake of our health. We pay thousands to facilities that they own so that they can prescribe us more harmful chemicals that simply numb the symptoms. There is a society around addictive foods that cause disease and expensive drugs that mask them, so that we stay in a forever grasp of their system. We only ever consume content that our news channels are operated by them to persuade us into two opposing perspectives, so that we never share a same opinion. Why do you think it's free? They feed us shocking news headlines that provoke emotion and grab our attention away from what's really going on in the world. They've granted us with superficial idols that portray luxurious lifestyles, so that we strive to deal money with happiness. They keep us focused on worldly problems that they've created to keep us zoomed in on our physical reality and detached from our Creator. If we keep our attention on around us, we will never be present and see the truth of God within us. The villain who runs the world knows the truth of our potential, and it's in their best interest to keep us distracted and willing to submit to a system that thrives on fearful compliance. Imagine if every person on this planet believed that we were created for a reason. We would unlock an unbreakable faith within ourselves and reverse the pyramid of power in which society was built. We would see past the lie that we've been living and turn to each other for help rather than dependent on our corrupt leaders. Corrupt leaders who have accumulated a discrete monopoly that succeeds in circumventing the eyes of those who are unaware through the illusion of choice. The majority of us see the world as it is portrayed, diverse, coincidental, and plausible. To someone who lives day by day without taking a step back, the world kind of seems to make sense. Then we look behind the curtain and see that it really makes sense. Where there is one lie, there is many. Once we see one lie, we will ourselves on an endless spiderweb of mass deception. The blindfold tied around us in childhood will loosen and light will be shed on our fabricated reality. Those in us do not have our best interests in mind and never did. It has been a power trip from the start, and we have gone along with it since the birth of society and will continue to until we see a reason for change and stop pointing at each other.
Just something to think about there to start the night off. She mentioned a lot of things, and a couple of the things she mentioned, money was one of the things, and the fact that there are a lot of deceptions, that most of the news is geared to either influence one way or the other, and that's why we keep doing this program. That's why Chris keeps coming on, giving up his time. That's why I keep doing what we do. Because we do not with an either or. We try to give you things to think about, not tell you what or how to think. And sometimes you hear things on here that you do not hear anywhere else, and you hear perspectives on here that that may be contrary to what your own perspective might be, and that's okay too. There are a lot of different opinions on a lot of different things, and it is a complex world, and too often it is it's attempted to be made very simple, when in fact it's incredibly nuanced. And with that being said, the other thing she mentioned that I want to draw our attention to, she talked about money, and how money only had any value because we were told it has value. I mentioned this at the end of the last show for smart people, the World Sit Rep with Chris, coming up here at 9 o'clock in just a few short minutes. Global financial landscape is witnessing a seismic shift as the United Arab Emirates boldly moves away from the U.S. dollar in its oil trade dealings. This was 2 days ago. The mainstream media. We talked about this, and with this particular piece, back in September, 21 countries officially agreed to ditch the U.S. dollar in 2023. We talked about it back then, and in case you weren't with us on that night. This is the BRICS, and 11 members of BRICS. Primarily, the founding countries of BRICS are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The largest, I don't know if this is coincidental or not, there's such a thing as coincidence. Brazil is the largest country in the continent. China is the largest country in Asia, is the largest country in Europe. It is primarily Eastern Europe. India in Central Asia, and then South Africa, largest country on the African continent. So 5 powerful countries potentially in alliance with 6 others, and the United Arab Emirates is going to be joining them in January of this year. We just saw that the United Arab Emirates is the first to remove the dollar from their system, and primarily that is the petrodollar. The other countries, 21 others, are in line and supposed to do it by the end of the year. What's that mean? Well, the United States used to be on what was known as the gold standard, and by that, you could turn your dollar bills in for the equivalent amount of gold. That's the gold standard. The dollar was backed by gold. The United States in 1933, followed Great Britain, who stopped using the gold standard in 1931. I said the other night it was between World War I and World War II. I wasn't exactly sure. It was 1933, and we got off the gold standard. So, what determines what a dollar is worth? Because if you look at it objectively, a $100 bill is worth the same as a $1 bill because they're only worth the paper they're printed on. That's an objective look at it. Currency value is determined by the aggregate supply and demand. So, if the petrodollar, if the demand for the US dollar dives, which will happen, not only from the UAE, but the 21 other countries, the US dollar's value, the demand for the dollar is going to plunge. So what happens? When that happens, interest rates, inflation, which just makes sense. If a dollar is worth less, then it's going to take more dollars to buy whatever you're wanting to buy. And I don't know if most people in the country understand what potentially could be happening here. So, what is today's dollar backed by? You know, when I said you basically got this $100 bill and a $1 bill are worth the whatever you can get for the paper they're printed on. Today, the currency of most nations is fiat money, unbacked by any physical asset. A holder of a reserve note has no right to demand an asset such as gold or silver from the government in exchange for said note. So $20 bill, a $1. This is an old promissory note from when we were on the gold standard, and you could exchange $1 for the equivalency in gold. So that's a brief and rather quick kind of encapsulation of what it means to have these countries, what it means to have these countries leave the dollar as their petrodollar. And if you got questions, send me an email, americandufus@gmail.com, and we'll address them Friday night if you have questions or if there's something you didn't understand. Tried to do it fairly quick because we're going to get Chris up here at 9 o'clock. And make sure I got the link in there. I'll pop back over here to the chat and say hi. Shalom, true. Nancy, good evening to you. Audio fuzzy and choppy. That might be the case. I'm out. I'm not back in where I'm normally broadcasting from, and I'm on a different setup, as you could probably see. Always be kind. Hello. Not going away. Hello to everybody watching, those watching live and those watching on the other platforms we're on. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Twitch, we're on Rumble, only we're not live on Rumble, but all the episodes are starting to come up on Rumble, and we are also on LinkedIn, and so we're trying to get the word out, truth, and the saying used to be truth or consequences. You either tell the truth or you face the consequences. Now it's become truth and consequences, because if you tell the truth, you're liable to pay the consequences for it, because a lot of people don't want to hear the truth, and a lot of people don't want the truth getting out. So with all that being said, Chris has made his arrival, and we are greatly appreciative of that. And say hello to Chris. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Gary. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. You all right?
Yeah. How's everyone in the audience?
Need a little volume if we can get it. Maybe it's on my end. There we go. Okay, say something so we got you.
Yeah, so how's everyone in the audience? Can everyone hear me?
Okay, can you hear him? I'm at the chat. Hi, Pink Flamingo. Can we hear Chris? We got a welcome to Chris, so audio is not the greatest.
Oh, really?
Okay, that's mine's not either. So you can't hear Chris?
All right, let me change locations real quick. All right.
Okay.
Let me change
All right.
locations.
All right. Take Chris down for just a second. Pop back over to the to one of the screens. You can barely hear Chris. Can't hear. Okay, we're trying to work on that right now. Thank you all, by the way. A couple of things I want to touch on. Number one. Whoa, 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 whoa. Not want that audio. My apologies, everyone. I was not expecting that. Russia has deployed soldiers on the Syrian border. The United Nations renews calls for Israel to withdraw from the Golan Heights, and I can tell you that is not going to happen. One other thing I want to touch on is that we are going to experience some solar activity tomorrow, the 30th. They are anticipating that there's going to be GPS interruptions, possible satellite interruptions, and definitely radio interruptions. It's going to be like a triple punch of solar storms, and I had this queued up to where I wanted it. Let me see if okay, that'll work right here. If it'll get me back there. There we go. There have been flares. There have been solar flares coming off, and there is also this massive coronal hole that is getting ready to turn towards us. When that hole is about right here, that's when it will be directly pointing towards Earth, and Earth is going to be like a little dot right out here. So we've got a geomagnetic storm coming in, possible glancing blow from a flare. Then we got this massive coronal hole, which is going to be rotating in. And so from tomorrow through the weekend, don't be surprised if things are interrupted. Let me pop back over and we'll bring Chris back up. Chris, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. Can everyone hear me now?
Okay. Is it better? Chat? Barely hear Chris was the last one, but that was a couple of moments ago. Let's see. Can we hear Chris? Anybody in chat?
Can you hear me now?
Well, see, it takes there's like this delay. There's like from when you and I are actually talking to each other on here, and when it goes out to the various platforms, and then, it takes a few seconds. But
Okay.
I don't know if nobody in chat is responding, so I don't know. Sounds like a loud fan running.
Is that on your end, Barry?
That's on my end, yeah. That is a loud fan running. It's a cooling fan. I'm on my old computer. I apologize for that, but actually, maybe if I move my camera, because that was blocking the vent. Yes, we can hear him. Thank you, Corey. Okay. Hopefully the fan will reduce. I had this portable camera sitting in front of the vent like a fricking doofus, and that's probably because I can hear it even over my earphones. So anyway, Chris, thanks for being here.
Yeah, no problem, Barry. And always I'm always glad to be on your show. So thank you for having me.
Um, I talked about money a little bit, and boy, that picture is horrible. Sorry, let me try something else. Go ahead. I talked a little bit about money, um, and the petrodollar. There we go. I talked about money and the petrodollar. Um, Anything I missed that you want to add?
No, not at all. I think we've pretty much covered the the gist of it. Yeah, I want to get too deep into it because I don't know everything there is
Right.
about it.
I just
Now,
wanted to kind of give like a 3 to 5 minute. Here's the potential ramifications of what seems to be happening with 21 other countries, basically saying they're going to shut the U.S. dollar off,
yeah,
and those
yeah,
countries are massive economies.
yes, and like I've always told the audiences, and the whole thing is that they want to crash the dollar, which means that means it's going to crash our economy. That's
We talked about this 2 years ago. We started talking about this 2 years ago. If you want to bring down the United States, it looked like we were getting isolated from the rest of the world. If you want to do it, you start with economics.
exactly that's and we've always said that economics controls all. So that right there is going to be your baseline of how you destroy um, a government, right? If you want to bring government down, you do it through economics, and that's exactly what they're trying to do with them trying to destroy our U.S. dollar.
And there's not a whole lot we can really do about it.
No, there isn't. It's just like everyone's going to gang up on the United States.
And we're going to get voted off the island.
That's it.
So, when I played the segment at the beginning with the young lady from the TikTok episode, and she was talking about how we need to be focused on how we need to be starting to think about helping each other instead of the greed and the consumption. We need to pay attention.
Yeah. Well, once again, that
It's too late for some of us, probably, but
yeah. So I mean, this is a capitalist country, right? So economics, of course, is always going to prevail, always, but more so than being a humanist. I hate to break it. I mean, I hate to sound that way, but realistically, that's what it is. Economics first, people second. That's it.
a distant second.
Yeah, distance.
People a distant second.
Exactly.
Uh, Iranian channels reporting at least 3 Iranian-backed militants have been killed in a U.S. airstrike against a convoy near the city of Al-Burkamal in eastern Syria.
Barry, I didn't hear anything about that. I mean, it's only like 3 militants. Of course,
This,
of
yeah,
course.
this is breaking. This is within the past hour, it
Oh,
appears,
okay. So of course,
and it just popped up. That's why I threw it out there. It just popped up.
yeah,
But hold on a second. Um, okay, I got a map up, and we're talking about right on the Iraqi-Syrian border,
uh-huh.
Al-Burkamal.
Yeah,
So, and our bases are here, and our bases are over here in northern Iraq because there's oil all around here, right?
that's correct.
Which brings us to um, Venezuela
Uh-huh.
and um Guyana. So let me pop out here map-wise and move over here. Um, what do you know about what's going on there at the moment?
So,
Anything
so
other
the
than
latest and greatest is that Venezuela is probably going to make a move on Guyana on the western part of Guyana. Now they said there's always been a land dispute there. All right,
This area
but
right here.
now, right. So
Go ahead.
they've always said that there's been a land dispute, but now all of a sudden Venezuela wants to make that land dispute a legitimate dispute and take over the western section of Guyana. And of course, now the reason being is the natural resources, um, the oil, but then also Guyana has a lot of gold. So I heard that the Brazilian military is starting to push north to the borders of Guyana and Venezuela in case there is an invasion. Um, the Brazilian military will be there. I don't know if they're going to support Guyana or not, but the United States, I don't know how much involvement we're going to be. I don't know how much we can really get involved with this. Um, I don't know if the British are going to get involved. I'm not sure yet. So, but I know Guyana is not going to be out there all by themselves. Rest assured.
Okay.
Guyana has a very small military, and Venezuela,
4,300.
yeah, that's really small.
And
Yeah,
Venezuela has like 365,000.
right.
Yeah.
So, um,
And Brazil, which is Brazil right here, the largest country in South America, as we talked about earlier. They are moving troops up here into this area
right,
along the Venezuelan border.
right. So, um, you said Venezuela has over 350,000 troops, and
I think so.
yeah, and Guyana has got like
Because they've got an air force, an army, and a navy, and Guyana has a motorboat and 4,300 in the army.
All right. Well, I would, if I were the military, you're not going to beat them conventionally. So if I were Guyana, I would definitely go to guerrilla fighting to defeat that enemy. You have 4,300 men. Then you can also use the populace um, to train them up to actually defeat the uh, the Venezuelan military, because you're obviously now going to be a lighter, smaller force, and you can't compete with what the Venezuelan government has. So your best bet is to turn into guerrilla fighters and defeat them that way. That's
Yeah,
what.
you're not going to beat them conventionally, so you're going to have to be uh, asymmetrical,
Yep.
unconventional.
Exactly.
And to give you to kind of paint a geopolitical picture of what's happening here, for those that are asking why now, why would Venezuela do this now? Venezuela's economy is kind of in the crapper, and Guyana has the fastest growing economy in the world since 2015, and this year the economy is expected to grow by 100%. The economy is expected to double by the end of 2023 in Guyana, all because of the oil, the minerals, and the minerals, and the gold in those three regions of this disputed area. Venezuela really has nothing much to lose by trying to do this now, because they're already kind of in the crapper, and I don't think we can try to stop them, and I don't think Venezuela thinks we will try to
No,
stop them.
no. So they're going to push, and 4,300 men. That's
Yeah,
like no men at all, really.
right.
So
And if Brazil comes in here, I don't think Brazil's coming in for for the good of Guyana. I think Brazil's coming in to take it for themselves.
of course. So like I said, the best thing for that Guyanese military to do is just really end up being guerrilla fighters against a bigger, of course, just a conventional force, and that's actually how you're going to beat them. Because
And by the way,
I'm pretty
go
I'm
ahead.
pretty sure that the Venezuelan government is not pretty much caught up on unconventional warfare, guerrilla warfare. So if that lighter, smaller military can you know do that,
Hit and run and hide in buildings and hide in the tall grasses of the Amazon basin and
yeah, use the populace, and of course use the populace, for their advantage. They'll beat them.
tunnels and yeah,
They'll beat them. Hmm.
yeah. I mean, um, Vietnam,
Hmm.
United States and Vietnam. What's happening now with Israel and Hamas in Gaza?
Yep. You see, they're using guerrilla warfare, right? They go against the Israelis. The Israelis are a much stronger conventional force, but Hamas is a um, pretty much a guerrilla force at this point, right? And they're pretty much taking it to Hamas, or taking it to Israel, because Israel is now on their turf. Okay, it doesn't matter how much technology you have when you're going up against a smaller force as Hamas is. Hamas pretty much is going to win. I'm pretty sure, and we've seen, like I said, throughout history, we've seen all of this. Okay, through Vietnam,
Yeah,
through Vietnam,
we spent 20 years in Afghanistan.
right, yeah, right. So we saw Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, right? All guerrilla forces. That's what it's about. You see, and
Yeah,
you
hit
see,
and
right,
run.
and you see the end result. You see the end result. So that would just be my advice to the
To
military.
the Guyanese.
Yep, that's it. If you really want to beat them, that's how you're gonna do it.
What's the danger? And we haven't talked about this. I haven't even brought it up. It just came to my head as you were talking about subversion and guerrilla warfare and asymmetrical uh, attacks. And for some reason, in my mind popped this video that I saw yesterday of um a train um, supposedly moving towards the U.S. border that just was packed with people on top of cargo cars, um, and a
Yeah,
lot of
well,
them
guess
looked
what?
like they
And you know
were
what? And go ahead.
a
What'd you
lot
say,
of them
Barry?
looked a lot of them looked like they might have been from non-South American countries.
Right. Well, that border is pretty much, I guess, wide open to a certain extent. Um,
In certain
and
areas.
right, and we talk about no, people that are not from Central or South America coming through. You got a lot of Haitians trying to come through. You have a lot of people from China and should we say Western Asia. I'm going to stop using the term Middle East because I'm not really big on that. So we're going to talk about Western Asia.
Yeah,
Trying to,
because actually, if we look at it from a geographical purpose, there really is no Middle East. It is where the African continent, this narrow strip right here, where the African continent and the Western Asian continent come together.
yep, correct.
Right?
So that's correct. So I don't like using the
I
term.
mean, you can just see it geographically. There's no real, there's no such thing as a Middle East. It's just a
Right.
term. Again, I think it came out of literature, primarily British literature.
Hmm.
That this area is east of Britain, so and it's in the middle. So that's the middle of the Mediterranean. So I think that's why they started calling it that. But that's, geographically, it is where uh, West Asia and Africa meet. So,
Yeah,
all right.
and Barry,
Uh,
the funny thing about it is, Barry, guess what? Israel, current day Israel, is nothing more than Africa. That's all it really is. Yeah, and but they call it the Middle East, which is ridiculous. But honestly, that's Africa.
okay, so you consider the Sinai, Israel, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia. You consider Saudi Arabia as part of Africa?
You know what? I consider Israel, all right. But
Uh huh. Yeah.
once you start getting up to do we say east of it, right?
Yeah.
We kind of we'll call that Western Asia,
Okay. All right. And it's referred to as the Arab Peninsula.
right? The Arabian Peninsula,
Yeah. Arabian Peninsula,
right?
right.
So, but you know what, Barry? Never mind. That's a whole different show. We'll discuss that
Oh
another
yeah,
time.
we don't have time, but we need to do that sometime.
Yeah,
Uh, um, and I know this I want to talk about. I'll save it till the end. Let's see if I got anything else up here. So far, I haven't seen anything on um, anything happening at the tree lighting ceremony. It's supposed to go off in a little over half an hour at 10 p.m. And there are protesters in the area, but apparently police have cordoned off all the routes into the area. So once you're in there, kind of like, I guess, on New Year's Eve. And anybody that's not in there now is not getting in, according to NYPD. So that's the update on that. Um, I'm just going to run down some things here. 10 Israeli and 4 Thai hostages have reportedly been handed over to the International Red Cross by Hamas and are now on their way to Israel. This is 4 hours ago, so they're now in Israel. And they've been mostly children and women. One, I'm going to say early 20s male was released, who is a dual citizen of Israel and Russia, and Hamas did this as a gesture of thanks towards Putin, supposedly.
yeah. So they were praising Putin there for a while. You heard that, right?
Right.
So I'm sure Putin has pulled some strings to get a whole bunch of stuff done that the Qataris haven't, probably weren't able to do.
Um, um, Bibi Netanyahu said tonight, quote, "At the beginning of the war, I set 3 goals: the elimination of Hamas, the release of all our abductees, and to ensure that Gaza will never again be a threat to Israel. These 3 goals remain the same."
So let's talk about the last goal. They're going to get rid of Gaza. They're going to take it over, right? And
Yeah,
they're going to occupy it, and they're going to build it back up to what they want it to be.
tear it all down and then build resorts, a nice airport, some oil wells, and call it a day.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's the plan.
There you go. Tear it down, build it back up.
Tear it down and build it back up. But they're not doing that in Syria. Uh, at least where the because the cities that got destroyed in Syria aren't near the oil. Or is
Right.
it just unsafe to? Or is it unsafe to start rebuilding there yet?
I guess it's unsafe to start building there. That's my
Okay.
guess. I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure, but I'm just speculating there.
Do you watch any football at all?
On occasion, like Steelers. That's about it.
Okay. Okay. Well, you know who Aaron Rodgers is.
Yes.
Okay. 13 weeks ago, he tore his Achilles heel, the Achilles tendon in his heel, and he is back on the practice squad today, going through all the motions, getting ready to return 13 weeks later.
Pretty quickly for tearing a Achilles heel.
Yeah, it's normally a 13-month process. He's used, supposedly, allegedly, he's used stem cells
Yeah,
and this
that sounds about right.
radical surgical procedure with screws and stuff. It's just, I mean, it's amazing to me.
Yeah,
Um,
it's stem cell. Yeah, those football players and those doctors that they have, the trainers, they're really up on it. Like, 'cause, like, I tore my rotator cuff back in 2021, right? And
mhm.
it was a pretty bad tear. My shoulder was like 80% torn, and I wanted to go have like PRP done. And the doctor that was going to do the PRP was actually she was a doctor for the Penguins, Pittsburgh Penguins, and I went to see her. And I'll tell you what, she's really. I mean, like these doctors that are work for professional sports teams, they're really up on the latest and greatest for sports medicines. They really are.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
so
Uh,
yeah. If they're doing some stuff that regular people don't get, there's a reason why. Those sports medicine professionals, man, they're really up on their game. They really are. So um, if they're doing something like that, then there's a whole lot of knowledge that comes with it. And I'm pretty sure that Aaron Rodgers isn't the only one that has something like that done. These football players, basketball players, hockey players, they get injured so much, you know. So
yeah.
like these doctors have to have that knowledge on how to get these people up and going again, like real fast. So they
And the thing is, it's not available to people now. But
oh
3 to 5 years from now, the advances they're making with sports medicine, if we're all still around, will eventually translate into advances into general medicine.
exactly
Just like the advances in auto racing eventually transfer into safety or performance in your street cars.
exactly exactly.
Yeah. Do you know anything about Congo?
Say again about what's going on in
The
Congo,
Congo.
about the displacement and the genocide. I think it's almost like what they say, like 20 million people.
Yeah. Um, 40,000 child slaves forced to work in cobalt mines. Of course, cobalt, the primary um, component of batteries, cobalt batteries. And this looks like something that, this is in a Indiana Jones movie or something. This isn't something that you'd see in 2023.
Right, right, right. You see all those people?
Yeah,
There's just tons and tons of people.
forty
Uh,
thousand child slaves allegedly is what the smuggled out footage is supposed to show.
oh,
Um,
did you see about the UN plane that had the guns
no,
about the guns and the gold? It was a drone. They had put a whole bunch of guns and gold and a UN drone, and the drone crashed. Actually, the drone cracked up, and I think it was members of the Congolese military found it, and opened it up, and there are all these guns and gold inside of that. And I'm just like, wow, yeah, just the normal stuff, right? Just another day.
yeah, just another day. Um, you know who Klaus Schwab is,
I,
of course.
I've heard of him. Yep.
Okay, he's a globalist. He believes in um, a one world government and a new world order. Now, you hear that term tossed around a lot, new world order, and for uh, just to enlighten everybody, the current world order is the USA is at the top, And if you're clamoring for a new world order, it's not going to be good for anybody in the USA. Just so you're not, you know, cutting off your nose to spite your face. The new world order with a one world government will be really bad for those of us that like freedom.
That's for sure, right?
Yeah. And I think, I think just because so often, especially white people, especially us whites, we sometimes get, pretty self-important and think nothing's ever going to happen. And that would, it's ludicrous to think that the United States would ever allow itself to be, in such a thing. We are 26 trillion and growing in debt to somebody. Our government's in debt to somebody, and if they foreclose on that, the leaders of the government, in order to escape that debt, will do whatever's in their best interest.
Exactly.
And this Klaus Schwab's quote is, "You will own nothing, and you'll be happy."
Yep. And you see that's insane, right?
Yeah, I mean, and again, we talk about this stuff on here. It's not been taught. None of the things, hardly any of the stuff that we've talked about is going to be in any mainstream media or mainstream news. That's the importance of trying to do this. And even if it only reaches 500 people in total, that's 500 more people that have information that they can share.
Exactly.
So that's why we do this. All right. I got one more thing. I think I got two more things. Yeah. Speaking of who is reporting on this, we talked the other night about how Israel is constantly resupplying their prisons. And we also talked tonight about how news sources have agendas. And there are agendas being promoted that every Palestinian that has been released from an Israeli jail is some kind of mastermind terrorist killer, and a lot of them are. And we showed on the other night they're womening. You don't believe it? Here's the kids being taken in 22 hours ago.
Probably for throwing a rock, like an armored personnel carrier, something like that. Just something stupid,
But I mean, they look like they're 8, 9, 10-year-old kids. I mean, they look like my grandson's age.
Yeah. So it's just like, all right, man.
And then and now they're turning on the press to keep the press from showing what was going on. So I'm showing this not because Hamas doesn't do bad things to Israeli people. I'm showing this just so you understand that the Israeli IDF, they're taking kids in, and maybe the kids are dangerous. I don't know. It's just not a good optic.
Yeah, that's really bad on the part of Israel. Taking it like how's that even look to the rest of the world?
Yeah, Israel's got to lose support when the rest of the world sees things like this.
Right.
You're seeing kids coming in at gunpoint, and then guns being used to chase the press away who are trying to tell the story.
Right. No.
And if you're chasing the press away, that means you don't want the story out.
Exactly.
All right. So
suppress the truth, right?
Do what?
Suppress the truth.
Yeah. Suppress the truth. Yeah. And thank you all for watching this, by the way. We get taken down. We get the things get removed on some of the platforms, but we're still going to keep talking. this mysterious illness that's impacting a lot of kids was in China. There is an unconfirmed report that Washington, D.C.'s seeing an uptick. Taiwan and Vietnam are supposedly preparing for this to happen. Some cases have already hit Europe and India, the Netherlands. Is this a I mean, is this going to be a way of life that every couple of years we have something that comes out of China that impacts the rest of the world in a viral form?
Well, as you know, if you believe this one, like, okay, COVID got us, here's the thing. I remember somebody had said a long time ago, like when the first one, this COVID thing came out, they said, yeah, it's biological warfare, it's germ warfare. And people are like, but that got suppressed immediately, you see? And there's no such thing as coincidences, right? So COVID came out right before the election year, right?
Yeah.
So this is what, it's now November, it's just about December. And now
yeah,
something else just pops up and it's spreading all across the world. Come on, man. All right, listen. The first time,
right before the 2024 election year.
Come on, man. Just don't, like, if you have any brain cells, you should be able to see that the course is going to be some BS too. And it's coming out of China. You see?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's at least change it up. It came from somewhere else. But two.
Yeah, don't take us for being so stupid and bring it out of the same place every time. Change it up a little bit. Give us some credit.
And then it's like I said, it's just, I don't believe in coincidences at all. So when they come out, there's this huge epidemic coming out, it's like, oh, here we go. Just like, no, this is all planned. It really is.
Yeah.
Just like the other thing was, and just for whatever political reason or whoever monetary gain or both, But this is coming out just way too, like, right before the election year. Like, come on, man. And it's going to get worse. You see? It's going to get worse. And it's definitely going to impact the election. It really is.
And it's not coincidental.
No, of course not.
No.
Of course not. But the thing is, most people probably aren't even paying attention, because they're paying attention to something that's so mindless in today's society that's where the majority of people's minds are, and mindless things, right? But meanwhile, you have this coming out, and I bet you the majority of people probably aren't even aware of what's going on, So I just
right.
implore people, like, to get your head out of your duffel bag and to pay attention to what's going on in the world, so like you're somewhat informed. Because
story of the night. A 26-year-old man was arrested at Disneyland after stripping down on It's a Small World ride. Police say he was taken into custody on suspicion of indecent exposure and being under the influence of a controlled substance. Here you see him being taken to Pinocchio's Island of the Lost Boys. I'm sorry, I may be the only one that gets that joke. If you go back and watch Pinocchio, it's got some dark. The Disney Pinocchio cartoon has some dark stuff in it, allegedly. All right, so Anything we missed?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything.
Um, you know, with anytime there is anytime there is war, there's money to be made. Would you mind talking Friday night maybe a little bit about people that have money still that might want to invest? Some ways to some things to consider during
Oh,
wartime.
always. Oh, easy. We can talk about that Friday.
Cool.
Not a problem.
We'll talk. Okay, good. We'll talk about that. That'll be our main topic for Friday. Trying to make people some money that have money to invest.
Yep.
Um, back in the Iraq, the second Iraq War, W. Bush Iraq War. I invested in a company that specialty was putting out oil field fires,
Uh huh.
and once I knew it was going to happen, and made some money. I don't have any money to invest at the moment. I think I know where I would be investing it if I did, but um, tune in Friday night, everybody, and we'll talk about it.
For sure.
All right, thank you, Chris. As always, let me hop back over here to the chat real quick and see if anybody has any question or comment before we get out of here. Uh, the Tunnel of Love, yeah, that the guy getting naked in It's a Small World. That just totally. But it's California, it's Disneyland, and it's 2023, so um, there's not a lot that's going to surprise us anymore. I don't think. Um, Disneyland's okay, but hell yes, at Disney World, I would have loved to jump in the Small World water. Orlando, it does get really hot in Orlando, and the good thing about Small World in Orlando is that it's air conditioned in there. Uh, Thank you, Germ Vicious. Thank you, Corey D. Nancy. Oh, Henry Kissinger just died. From Nancy McMonarch. Breaking news: Henry Kissinger just died. So we'll be seeing a lot of that. That's a polarizing figure, isn't it, Chris?
Very much so. He's done a lot of damage.
Yeah, it depends on. Of course, as always, it depends which side you're on. But um, if you're on the people's side, guy potentially allegedly
Right.
did a lot of damage. We'll talk about that coming up Friday night too.
Well
Okay.
done. Well done.
All right. Thank you, man.
Okay. Hey, thank you, Barry.
Peace out, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Yeah.
That is our man Chris. So grateful for all of his. He's being non-celebrated all over Twitter. Okay, all right. Again, a couple of stories I just want to point out before I get off of here that are on the X. I want to give this a look, and Chelsea Handler's reminding us not to mess with Dolly Parton. I forgot to mention this on the Thanksgiving night show or any of the other nights. Dolly's 77 years old, and if you didn't see it on Thanksgiving at the Dallas Cowboys game, here she is. At 77, she was out performing. Been monitoring the Christmas lighting, the lighting of the Christmas tree in Rockefeller Plaza, and Barry Manilow at age 80 performed earlier, as did Cher. So people look at me like I'm old, and these are people that Dolly, and I mean these are people that were famous when I was a kid. So I got a long way to go and a short time to get there. Anyway, you don't mess with Dolly, you don't mess with Willie Nelson, according to Chelsea Handler. And finally, this little guy was there's a website, a sports website called Deadspin, and this little Chiefs fan was just raked over the internet coals as being a racist because he had half of his face painted black, half of it painted red, when in actuality he appears to be a light-skinned person. And black and red and black are the Chiefs' colors. Chiefs fans planning to all wear black and red face paint to the next game in a massive support for the boy the media called racist. So, and by the way, supposedly according to his mom, the kid's a Native American. Okay, so he's the police department, along with counterterrorism and other agencies, currently on high alert, as we've been talking about, and I'll pop back over there to show you that it is still, well, it's, but this is it's like you can see the tree not yet lit, and what is probably tree. So 10 minutes away from right now. Go to NBC. No, I've been because the warnings were given, and apparently it was diverted and not allowed into the area where the Christmas tree lighting was going on. Everything. There's enough that we don't need to make things that aren't. You don't need to exaggerate it. There's enough racism for real. Tomorrow, I mentioned earlier that Cher and Chelsea Handler and Dolly Parton and Willie and Barry Manilow, and these are all people still rocking it at an advanced age, and good on them, and I'm going to continue to try to do that myself for several more years, good Lord willing, and the world doesn't explode. I'm going to be 65 soon. I know it's hard to believe. I look like I'm 30. That's comedy. I'm going to be 65 soon, and I was in politics, and being involved in politics, I got to meet a lot of people. I've got a lot of contacts. I've got a lot of sources. I got a lot of friends, and one of them is an expert in Medicare and Medicare Advantage. So I'm going to record an episode with him in the morning. I'm going to record an interview with him in the morning, and I'm going to be playing it tomorrow at some point. I'll do it like I'll play it through my studio here so that it goes out to all the platforms, and give you his email address during that. So if you're in Indiana, by all means, make sure you contact this guy. He's going to be talking in general, but each state's going to have different ways of doing things. So this is something that is going to be for those that are approaching 65. Let's say 60. This will be a special episode for like the silver foxes and silver fox ladies and gentlemen. All right, because they can be silver fox ladies and silver fox dudes. So this is going to be a special episode. It's not going to be a world sit rep. It's going to be just an explanation for those that see the commercials all the time, for those that might be they were on Medicare and they never made any choices. It's just going to be a brief episode with an expert talking about what happens when you have to go on to Medicare. So or when you have the choice to go on to Medicare, whether you should or not, if you should have an Advantage plan, what kind of plan, what all's covered, all these things. We're going to lay it all out for you with absolutely no pressure of any kind. You know, we're not going to have any 800 numbers to call or anything like that. I would advise, if you want some consultation, Rob's the guy to call. And we will do that sometime. It'll be on sometime tomorrow, probably tomorrow evening. So, until then, and I keep moving in my camera. Let me stay still and see if the camera focuses back up, or if we're just overheating and it's dying, and I kind of look better blurry. There we go, of course, now. But I say that. So, thank you to Corey D, Jarm Vicious, Nancy McMonarch, Not Going Away, Pat Tolliver, True, the Pink Flamingo was in here. Hello, Henry. Wow. Henry, welcome back, man. And where you been? And thanks for clicking on, and I hope you'll do so again. All right. Lori Arnold! Missed you again. Yeah, miss you always, Lori. Peace, love, and sunshine. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for watching. And Cher's on again, this time with a blonde wig. So, everything's going off peacefully thus far. If something were to happen, we'll hop back on here. But otherwise, we'll say namaste, shalom, shalom, assalamu alaikum. Blessings be upon all of you that wish them, and positive vibrations. I love y'all. Lori Arnold, I miss you. Thank you for clicking on, everybody. Love y'all like chocolate chip cookies. Peace! It's a dark world. Be a light. See you Friday night, and tomorrow with a special.